Have you ever experienced deja vu? When you felt that you had that experience before, even though you knew for sure that you hadn't? Well, I've had so many, way past dozens. And the first one I'd like to share with you is when my two sisters uh, invited me to go with them to Camden Town in London. I had never been there before, and I'd heard so much about it. There's just about everything possible of that can be made, you know, um, is made up there. Uh, People who create their own, personal crafts of all kinds. And so I was excited to go. I thought, at last, after so many years, I'm finally going to go to Camden Town because I used to hear about it, but thought it was just way too far. Anyway, we got on the tube at the Oval Station and made our way there by the underground. Got off at Camden Town Station, and I could see like the sign by the bridge saying Camden Lock, and I was so excited to actually walk down that road. That was interesting itself before going into the market itself. So we're going along now, looking left and right, especially me being there for the first time. And then just before we got to like the bridge where that big sign, overhead sign stretching across the road was saying Camden Lock, and I was on the right hand side of the road by the shop. And all of a sudden, this weird feeling came over me, and everything looked so familiar. And I just knew with every fiber in my being that I had been there before, and things started to look really familiar. But I said this couldn't be because it's the first time that I have ever been to Camden in all my years. And that was so shocking. But I didn't say anything to my sisters. We just carried on walking, and we crossed over and we went into the market, like the market area. We went upstairs, and everything was so familiar. And I didn't really want to say anything to them because to me and to them, it was the first time I'd been there. But uh, the experience was that I had been there with them before, and yet it was the first time that they took me there. And it was really hard to explain. And even even to this day, because this is several years ago, I haven't actually shared this with them for some reason. But yes, that really blew my mind. I'd, I'd never been, and yet I remembered going. Have you had any such experiences? There was another time where I just had the strongest urge to go to Richmond in Surrey, and I lived in London, southwest London, and the feeling was like really, really strong. And I wondered why it was so strong. And I kept thinking, you know what, it's just so far away. I could go by train, and that was just too much hassle. So I found a way of going by buses. I took about, I think, about three or four buses to get there because I really wanted to find out the why, like that, if I go, if this feeling would go away. And so I took myself on about 3 or 4 buses, super long, but really enjoyed the view. And when I got off the last bus, that took me actually into the town center area, again like Camden, I had the most peculiar feeling. Everything was familiar, and I knew that that shop was going to be there, and that shop was going to be there, and that supermarket was going to be just round the corner. And it was so disconcerting because, as I said, I had never ever been to Richmond, and I I had no idea where it was. I mean, I heard about it, living in London. Heard about Richmond so many times, but to me, it was so far off my radar. It was just like too far a place to go. But yet, when I got there, I I knew so much of what was there because things were so familiar, and I remembered here and I remembered there, and yes, and so on and so on. And that really threw me because I couldn't explain it, and it wasn't in my mind to kind of relate it to deja vu. And deja vu wasn't really a term that was kind of like on my radar, and heard about it, but not really took much notice of it. So this is just like two two instances where I had never been to a place before in reality, but yet when I got there, I knew so much about the place, and so many things were like familiar. And it's like the only way that that could be familiar was that I had already gone there, but yet I knew that I had never been there. So I don't know how to explain this, but I would really love to hear from anybody who's had such similar experiences. There's one more I'd like to share with you here for now, and it was a time where I went to Liverpool with my mum. Now, she would, when she retired, as soon as she retired, she wanted to basically travel as much as she can, in London, in England. And we bought a ticket, or she bought a ticket, and she treated me to it because I'd never really been anywhere like that. And living in London, Liverpool is very, very, very far away. And so I said, "Yes, Mum, yeah, I would really love to go, and see that part of England." And so we traveled down, the motorway on the coach, and seeing beautiful horses, as we got out of London, grazing and all manner of other wildlife. Anyway, we got into uh, Liverpool station, got a short bus ride into this kind of quaint town, and it was something. The area we kind of ended up at was really like it looked like something out of, I don't know, the 1800, and it was a place that was recommended by the little travel brochure that they give you. And I was so excited. I could tell my friends I actually went so far out of London to Liverpool. And so my mum and I, we saw that this area, it was all like cobblestone area, really like a throwback, the ones you see in the movies. And it was like a little kind of cafe. I won't call it a restaurant because it was small, and it was serving like cream cakes with fresh cream, fresh butter, scones, yes, scones, and tea in those sweet little floral uh, um, teacups with the matching saucers that you can only get such a tiny little bit of tea, and it's so dainty you literally have to hold it with a thumb and your little pinky finger. But it was so like marvelous because it just kind of took you, out of like London, out of the fast moving pace of London. And here I was in this little cafe, for the first time with my dearest beloved mom, having tea and cream cakes in this little cafe with all this the paths outside like cobblestones. Uh, and then all of a sudden, again, I had this kind of whirly twirly feeling, and I thought, oh my goodness, I have been here before. I have sat in this same place having um, creams and scones with butter. Oh, yeah, and strawberry jam and tea in a little teacup with matching saucer. And I have done this all before with my mom. But the thing is, as we journeyed out of London, and I was, admiring the horses and the cows and the fields of I think it was called rape seeds. You get where you get the oil from, beautiful, like kind of yellow. Like, I mean, oh my gosh, the most beautiful expanse of color. Nothing was triggered then. It was only when we sat in the little cafe having cream teas and that it all kind of uh, sitting there triggered something. And I knew I'd never been there. So many, I don't know how maybe I don't know how far is it, 100 odd miles. So I'm not sure. Absolutely, I'm not sure. But I do know that, it's like at least a couple of hours out of London, and I couldn't believe it because you would think that something so different from what you've experienced in your life up till then that you would remember. So I don't know the workings of this deja vu experience, why it happened, but I found it fantastically interesting. But it also had me when I came back home, just, if I went to the sweet shop or something like that, or I went shopping to a particular supermarket. Have I done this before? I don't remember. But yeah, so these three experiences were like quite profound. I've got more, but I think I'll leave it here for now. So I would really love to hear from you if you've experienced anything like this. Okay, thanks for listening, Diana.